In my journey over the past year of collecting video games for both the PSP and the Nintendo DS, I've noticed two things in my life change. The first thing I've noticed is just how much has changed about the way that I interact with media, and the second one is my video game shelf is starting to look really cool. However, despite all of that, I do want to talk about the first one, so let's get into that. How's it going, guys? Treestain here, and today's video is going to be a little bit more focused on one single topic as opposed to my last video where I was trying to get all of my thoughts out on like 20 different things in one video. The topic is about my consumption of media and how I've changed my consumption patterns drastically over the past year. Now, if you've watched any of my recent videos since the beginning of this year, you'll know I've been rather preachy about using our phones less and living a little more offline. While this video will cover some of those topics, I'm more or less going to be sharing why I personally have been making all of these changes rather than trying to sway you to do the same. However, after you watch this video, if you are interested in what I'm talking about, I highly recommend you go watch those videos after this one just to see what all I've been doing and how I've been achieving some of this stuff. So I have two questions that I've been asked pretty regularly here recently by a couple people, both online and in real life. The first one is, in this quote-unquote new era of technology, where AI is being pushed for everything and companies are using it to try to make our lives more convenient for us, why would I take the route of removing the comfortability of modern tech and go more analog? And the second question is, why would I want to strip away the capabilities my phone has with all of the knowledge, media, and usefulness it provides quite literally at my fingertips? The first answer I have for these questions is friction. There's this book that I've been reading called Filter World: How Algorithms Flattened Culture. The book touches on how in the past we had to be a bit more careful choosing what media we interacted with and consumed, as there was much more friction in the interaction itself. To be a little more clear about what I mean by friction here, you used to not have access to every single song ever made for the cost of a subscription service every single month. You had to purchase a new CD or a cassette tape, and before that, you had to buy a vinyl record, and all of these things not only took up space, but they also took action to interact with, like changing out the CD or tape for a new album, or flipping over the record. Even in the early stages of the MP3 player and iPod era, outside of pirating, you still had to be pretty selective about which albums and tracks you purchased, as buying digitally wasn't widely available and pretty expensive to do so. You had to pick and choose which music you wanted instead of having it all in front of you. And nowadays, I find myself being crippled with choice, as the internet has given us full access to basically every piece of media ever created. Being overwhelmed by choice is probably the primary reasoning for this change in my life. I have found that if I have to interact with something other than my phone to complete a task, or listen to music, or play a video game, it allows me to have a more focused experience with what I'm consuming. I'm sure I'm not the only one that does this. I mean, to be honest, you're probably doing this yourself with this video. But how often do you have a YouTube video playing in the background while you're gaming or in a Discord call with friends? How much online content have you quote unquote consumed while also trying to focus on something else? The second answer for this is ownership. I won't go into full detail, as there are now a few videos where I talk about this quite a lot, but I don't really have subscriptions for anything anymore. If I want to watch something, I can most of the time go thrift the entire collection of whatever it is for the same cost as if I had Hulu or Netflix. And if I can't thrift it, I'm sure I can sell the 7 Seas online to find it. Not only that, but my wife and I have slowly been building up a collection of some of our favorite movies and TV shows. Our music collection is becoming more and more diverse as well, as we start to branch out to other artists, as we already have basically everything else released for what we mainly listen to. All the while, I've been slowly building up a collection of video games that her and I, and eventually my son, can all enjoy. Now, I understand not everyone has the space for all of these things, as we barely do in our own house. But this is just another form of the friction I was speaking on before, as it has forced us to get creative with storing some of this stuff. It's been pushing us to make decisions on what we want to display on a shelf and what we want to store for when we need it or want to use it. It also creates this problem where you can have too much media. If you end up not liking a movie, you can either go donate it or sell it, and you have that physical item to sell in the first place. But on top of all of that, it has saved us a ton of money as well, because we get most of this media secondhand in some way, and that combined with the cancellation of all of our subscription services, we have more money to spend on not only more media, but also all the other needs in our life. The last answer I have for those questions is that I really crave simplicity. The simplicity of having one item designed to do one thing instead of having a jack of all trades piece of tech that creates this problem of distractions. My prime example here has to be my notebook. I have a whole other video on this whole topic, but using a pen and paper to take down notes, write down thoughts, and plan things has given me this peace of mind that I haven't had in so long, simply because when I write, I don't have notifications popping up constantly, and I'm not tempted to pull out Instagram and scroll on Reels for an hour. Speaking of Instagram Reels, in today's world of social media, it's so easy to find yourself constantly at battle comparing yourself to the things you see, craving what other people have, living a lifestyle that you think you want when in all actuality, I personally would be much happier and healthier living a nice, simple life for myself rather than chasing material things to show off to other people. I know that can come off as somewhat hypocritical, as one of the main things I post on my social media is my car. I don't do that for anybody else. I do that for myself, and I have that car because I personally get enjoyment out of it. That's not to say that I don't use my phone either. It has its place in my passions and my daily life. I'm just extremely selective of how much of my life I allow it to consume. And I think that's the most important part here. In a world full of AI being pushed, data centers taking over farm and forest land, and social media taking over the lives of basically everyone at this point, I'm choosing the path of a simpler life, a less perpetually online life. A life where boredom is embraced and my peace matters more to me than knowing what is going on in everyone else's life. A life where I can play video games with my child, watch movies and TV shows with my wife, and listen to music in my car without requiring an internet connection. And that's all I really have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Do you crave simplicity as well? Have you taken any of these steps towards making your life less online? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Take care. Adios.